3?
We're going to talk about assignment 3 for HPA 444. This is an individual assignment, so obviously you'll be working alone, and there are 3 questions. This one has been posted for some time, so I'm sure most of you have looked at it at least once or twice. What we're trying to do in question number 1 is make some distinctions between not-for-profit organizations and for-profit organizations. You may have noticed in the slide that talked about the different types of standard setting bodies for accounting. And you notice that there is a separate standard setting body for not-for-profit organizations. The example in number 1 uses the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago, and it talks about program-related expenses. The issue here, as the problem explains, is what's the overhead cost. There's an overhead cost that was being reported, and this is based on a real situation. The overhead cost that was being reported did not include the expenses in their division that allocates the money. The cost of evaluating programs, the cost of making decisions about allocations, and this was technically correct to not include that in the overhead, because that was viewed in the same way that the programs that they funded, the money that they allocated to agencies for human services programs, was viewed from an accounting standpoint. But the board of directors of the United Way had a very large proportion of people who came from the private sector. They were members of the civic committee of the commercial club. They were CEOs of for-profit businesses in Chicago. So they felt it was dishonest to report the lower figure. So the compromise was that they ended up reporting both figures. The question for you really speaks to financial ratio analysis. The question is, are there some pitfalls in using financial ratio analysis and relying heavily on them when it comes to the not-for-profit sector? That's what I want you to look at. There's some material in your text about this, and I just want you to think through how this may be problematic or could be problematic in terms of the use of these financial ratios that are so much in use in understanding the operations and the control function when it comes to for-profit businesses. But for not-for-profits, the question is, are there some reservations that need to be thought through in applying these? So that's essentially what you have with question number 1. Now, question number 2 speaks to assets that have been depreciated. What good managers try to do when they have the resources to do it is to create a fund for replacement costs. They create a fund and they put money there so that after the useful life of the asset has gone away, there's money to replace that asset. So this question speaks to why might that not be sufficient for the replacement of an asset. The asset is fully depreciated, it is gone through its useful life, the management organization has provided for the funds, for the cost of depreciation in a fund, so now it's time to get a new asset. Why might there still not be enough money to replace the asset? So I want you to talk about that in question number 2. Number 3 is the set of slides that the HPA division director Jack Zwanziger developed when he was making a presentation about chronic disease costs, and he essentially concluded that the healthcare costs for chronic disease were increasing in excess of the growth of the economy, which makes that increase unsustainable over time. So the question is, what would you do if you were director of the Illinois Department of Public Health and you saw that data? Also in that data is mention, in the slide presentation that Jack did, there's mention of the unique age distribution in Illinois, which makes the Illinois population more susceptible to chronic disease because it's associated with aging. So that's not something I want you to get distracted by. Basically, what do you do about this phenomena? The direction is that we are spending a lot of money on healthcare costs for chronic disease. The projections are that our expenses for chronic disease treatment will outpace the growth in the economy in Illinois. So you're the director of public health for the state. What do you do? So that's assignment 3, and best wishes. I'll be interested in looking at your responses. Thank you.